I'm Kylie. Have you been told that you're too sensitive? I'm a retired paramedic with PTSD, and I am too sensitive. Being too sensitive has become my superpower, particularly when managing microaggressions. This is lesson number 6 in life lessons that I'm sharing from a career in paramedicine. If you want to understand microaggression and how I accidentally learned to manage it with PTSD symptoms, you've come to the right place. So what is microaggression? It's the opposite of macroaggression, of course. Macroaggression is the big, loud, in-your-face, angry displays of aggression. It's obvious. No secrets involved about how the person feels. They're angry, maybe at you, maybe just at the world, but either way, they're bloody angry. Microaggression is the opposite. It's the small expressions of aggression. The little nuances, their tone, their microfacial expressions, their obscure backward ways of trying to gain power or control, and their use of emotional destabilizers that attempt to catch you off guard or induce fear, guilt, or shame. This is the type of aggression that people load into certain types of humour, subtle personal attacks, and anything else they perceive may destabilize you emotionally to their benefit. The difference between the big and the small expressions of aggression, other than the size and the intensity, is that micro-expression is often an attempt to be covert in expression of anger. Sometimes it can be so covert that the communicator may not be fully aware they are using it themselves. How is that possible, you wonder? Micro-expressions can be a way of expressing difficult emotions without owning them. This is a defense mechanism and something our mind uses to protect us from identification with personality traits that we don't like. So we project it away and onto others, making it about them. The way that stealth aggression often works is that it's used to start an argument. The argument is used to fuel the justification they require for why they felt angry to begin with, giving them a reason to express hard feelings. Have you ever felt that you got the blame for starting an argument that you were sure you didn't? Chances are you didn't start it. You just bought into it and felt badly about it, so you took ownership. And that's why microaggression feels differently from most aggression. Because rather than feeling as if the other person is just angry, we feel it is directed at us. They are angry at us. This redirection of emotion is what starts a dispute, and if the recourse is defensive, then there's a fight. I learnt this because I used to be highly defensive, and I've bought into many a fight in my time. I've also started quite a few. Until I had the bejesus scared out of me, and now I have a flight response to aggressive behaviour, rather than a fighting one. As a paramedic, I have been in so many dangerous situations, including being physically and sexually assaulted, and I have witnessed a pretty full spectrum of human emotions. These experiences have developed my radar system, which alerts me to dangers at superhero capacity. Most people require a big and an obvious expression of aggression to be fully aware of the dangers presenting. For me, microaggressions trigger an intense stress response that makes my limbs shake. I feel the blood drain out of my head and I break out in a cold sweat. I lose my ability to think straight. I start looking to get out of the environment, my speech rate escalates and all my internal dialogue vomits out my mouth. And I normally end up in tears, and this all happens within milliseconds. It's a rather dramatic response to an odd look or a sign of frustration, but unfortunately, that's PTSD. When it comes to microaggression, most try and manage it in one of two ways. They lash out aggressively in a fight response and become the aggressor, feeling they have been attacked, or they try to avoid the conflict by telling themselves it's a figment of their own imagination. They justify the other's behaviour, or they try to ignore it and pretend it's not happening in hopes it goes away. This often leads to an escalation in aggression as the angry person strives to be heard. Somewhere along the line, I lost my ability to fight and to deploy avoidance tactics early enough. My big expressions of emotion in response to others' micro-expressions can be quite startling to most, including myself. I've never been a crier, and not being able to hold it off is quite scary to me. So as it turns out, it seems that most people expressing microaggression are used to getting away with it by either having it ignored, sidestepped, or bought as the narrative they are pushing. My reaction not only catches me off guard, it catches them off guard when they don't get what they expect. Quite without intention and completely by accident, my hypervigilance to aggression has become a superpower that has the potential for change. I've seen others advise managing microaggression by calling it out. Name it to shame it type approaches. I'd advise you to tread easily if you don't want to get hurt, for this type of approach is perceived as aggressive and can escalate a situation, and you might find that their aggression boils over from micro to macro, and you get more than what you bargained for. Standing up and sticking your finger in someone's face and calling them out is likely to backfire and get you in trouble. I've found that my emotional reaction is often enough to raise other people's awareness to their own behaviour, and nothing further is needed for them to consider what they've done. We all know when we've done something wrong, no matter how we try and explain it to ourselves. Enough said. Of course, when it's not enough said and they don't change their behaviour, you may be dealing with much more than just repressed unconscious aggression, and something more psychologically sinister. Then I'd suggest you run, and keep on running, and don't look back, as it's a trait of social pathology. And I know everybody wants to diagnose a narcissist these days, but I think we should leave that one to the experts. When all is said and done, hypervigilance to aggression makes me highly sensitive to microaggression, and emotional dysregulation makes me a little emotionally sensitive to those using it. And both of these stress reactions make me a microaggression busting superhero. So how's that for lucky? If you're enjoying my content, I'd really appreciate it if you could share it, so that other super sensitive people know that they're lucky too.